try pouring acid on your nuts, though, man. I don't know.
Yeah.
I didn't air.
Pretty close.
What's up, everyone? Welcome to Nerd on, the podcast you didn't need but deserve, where all levels of nerd are welcome.
Yeah, you are.
Yeah, they are.
Hello.
Let me ask you something.
Ask
Real
it.
Go
quick.
for it.
What do you get when you have a podcast that discusses all level of nerd and pop culture when a Scorsese film releases its take on the clown prince of crime?
What?
I don't know.
Exactly what you deserve!
Oh my God.
With the Joker.
Oh.
Wow.
Hey.
Yeah.
That was explosive.
That was,
right?
that was really explosive.
Scorsese-esque.
That was
And then
Not to
zero.
be confused, this isn't a Scorsese.
This isn't Scorsese
Correct.
film, but Scorsese.
Yeah.
So yeah, we're talking about Joker today.
Yes.
Joke hair.
We
Woo.
are.
So let's get started with the show. Introducing the host. My name is Tom.
I'm Caitlin.
Ali.
I'm Corey.
Corey is actually joining us from the interwebs.
He is.
Yeah.
And I am Josh, and this episode is brought to you in part by the Nerd On Nation, which is powered by Patreon.
Patreon.
The Nerd On Nation allows us to grow and to keep the lights on. And as a member of the Nerd On Nation, you get fun perks for anywhere from $1 to $5. You can get things like a Discord server that is exclusive to only you. You get bonus episodes. You get early access. You get all sorts of fun stuff. But you can check that out at nerdon.io/Patreon.
Nice, man.
You know what's also really cool is that this film was quote unquote loosely based off of Alan Moore's The Killing Joke. And I would love if everyone at home got a chance to read it so they can figure out where the character Arthur Fleck learned to do his failed comedian stuff.
Oh.
You could read that on such platforms like Comixology, which some people would say is the number one internet source for reading comic books.
Wow. Not read
So
from a
natural.
script at all. Well, the last part. The first part
Yeah.
was real.
If you're
Oh,
watching on YouTube, you can totally see that my small eyes are looking at the script.
Wow.
But yes, this film, as Todd Phillips has said, was loosely based off of The Killing Joke, which is a great comic book read. Everyone should read it, and then you can also watch the animated series. But to read the source material is important because these are comic book films, and we should read the comic books about it. And you can find that link on nerdon.io/Comixology.
And a
Nice.
little
Well
of
done.
every purchase goes to keeping the lights on.
Mhm.
Yeah. That is the business, the housekeeping.
Woo.
We did it.
We did it.
Well
So,
Let's talk about this movie, y'all.
yeah, but
Oh
you
my
know
God.
what we do, because this is a one-off and an Elseworlds.
Okay.
It's
done.
a
Uh-oh.
completed
Completed
project. So
We get to
we're gonna have to rate at the end. So right now we're going to
Guess that grump. Dun, 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 God, that got really creepy right at the end.
Yeah, it was.
Appropriate.
I don't know
though.
if I can continue this.
So everyone at home, if this is your first time watching or listening, shut up, Corey. Guess That Grump is a segment of our show we'll do right now where we are going to guess who's going to have the lowest score in the group, being 1 out of 5, 1 being the lowest, 5 being the highest. And since I always explain, I'm going to have Corey go first. Who he thinks will be the grump of this episode?
It's a good question. I think I'm going to go with Ollie.
Ooh.
Ooh.
Hmm.
Oh,
see.
my.
Corey, Ollie Popcorn.
I will throw it right back at Corey.
Oh.
Caitlin.
I think it'll be Ali.
Oh.
Josh.
Easy
Two
pick.
for
It's
Ollie,
fine.
1 for Corey.
I think it will be Caitlin.
All right.
0 because this wasn't The Dark Knight.
2 for Ollie, 1 for Caitlin, 1 for Corey.
Tom.
Make that 2 for Corey.
2 for Corey.
Tom knows
2
something.
for Ollie.
Uh-oh.
He's giving me a look.
Tom knows Corey too well.
I always
feel
give you
like
a look.
I always
1
give
for
you a look.
Caitlin. And then Patreon has split it
2.
between Caitlin and Tom. So I'll give each of you a half point.
Yeah, I know, right? I
It's
know.
1.5
Themskies.
Kate,
I know.
and then 1/2 for Tom.
1/2.
So technically, Josh is going to go
0.5 point.
first.
I have none.
Watch him be the grump.
So now
Yeah.
that we've gotten that out of the way, we encourage everyone at home to play along. Slip and slide in our DMs, send us messages on Facebook, and where you can contact us what you thought of the film and what your number was of it. And
Let's start with Josh,
we'll go with
since you got the 0 votes.
our initial reactions and our first impressions. Josh, you start first.
Yeah, I'm gonna start. Yay. First impressions. I honestly really had no idea what to expect from it. Like the trailers was like, oh, it's just gonna, this is gonna be a very different movie than.
Sounds like a picnic film.
Yeah, it sounds like a picnic film. And Yeah, it was. Wow. I walked out going, Bonnie and we both were like, whoa, that was much darker and gringier than I even had any sort of expectation
Josh,
for.
did it
Oh.
freak your milk out?
It totally freaked my milk out,
Oh my God, I
everybody.
haven't heard that in forever.
I was so hased out.
Yeah, it was. In all honesty, it is a movie that really requires a lot of thought. I mean, yes, all movies should, but this movie it does have, of course, an overarching message. It has like where it's left in the audience's pocket to try to figure out like what is it about, what's real, what's not, what's the message. But it was in a sense also a breath of fresh air to get this kind of a quote comic book movie that wasn't so comic book movie in your face.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, I definitely walked out going, and on the drive home going, whoa. And I also saw it on IMAX
Hell yeah.
Oh, nice.
because I was like,
Yeah.
yeah, it was available, and I was like, yeah,
Yeah.
Might as
let's
well,
check
why
it
not?
out. And I was
Yeah.
like, yeah, that was a lot of screen of whoa.
Yeah.
I want to see every green follicle.
Yeah, whoa. Every drop of blood.
Wow. Tom?
Okay, for me. I mean, we talked about this when it was announced, and I think I talked a little bit about it on our other show, Nerd on the Update. But I was a big proprietor of I did not want this movie to come out.
Yeah,
Like I didn't care for it at all. And Corey and I talked about it for a long period of time of like I
Mhm.
hated the ideology of like DC doing their Elseworld series and making films that weren't going to contribute to their tapestry of their extended universe, because I was like, you're not helping the rest of the team, right? You're kind of like,
Mhm.
here's a star player, but then they're not being a team
and
player.
now for something completely different.
Right.
Yeah.
But going into this movie, I followed the press of it, and right? What a cluster fuck of
Yeah.
press
Oh,
tour that
God,
this
yeah.
film has followed and has gone through and all that stuff. Much like Captain Marvel in a way, but except not as like knifing and divisive as it has been. But watching the film, I actually prepped a little bit and watched some Scorsese films that this was
Oh,
like based
mhm.
off of, like Taxi Driver as well as The King of Comedy.
Yeah,
And watching it, I was over the moon with it. I absolutely loved it. I think it's one of the most important comic book based character films of all time
Mhm.
that's ever branched from the series of superhero films that we're never gonna not see.
yeah.
That's quite a statement.
Yeah, because I think the thing I loved the most about it was that like one, obviously it's great, it's well acted. I think there's a lot of discipline with the director as well as cinematography. But I think again, to me, something I've been harking on for a while. It's like it's a film that actually strives to discuss and raise awareness about things other than beat up bad guys.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It actually has it's trying to say something. It's trying to be part of the film, discord. And
One might say that's what comic books are trying to do as well. And
Yeah.
so this one kind of captures like, there's more message than just
Punching bad guys.
Well, yeah,
Yeah.
and I mean,
Mhm.
like, there's a line to toe between escapism as well as like talking about social issues and working within that prism. So I think it's adding to the lingua franca of like all what art typically strives to do from like an artist that's really ingrained in like politics and society.
Yeah.
That's
Well, I mean, it's using the art form to carry the message without it feeling like it's carrying a message.
Mhm.
It's kind of
That's
baking it in.
that's me.
yeah.
Ollie?
I went in kind of my expectations were set from the trailer and everything, the way it was presented, and I still haven't seen like old Scorsese movies.
Thought you were gonna say, I still haven't seen it.
I still haven't seen it per se,
Wow.
like actually watched it in the
That's-
theater.
I watch a shit ton of reviews. And
Yeah, all the reviews. I kind of know what it's about. No. I went in kind of like really intrigued, knowing that it wasn't going to be like a quote unquote superhero movie with like, and I was like not expecting Batman, to the point where like people were, I don't know if it was it might have been one of the reviews that were like, there's no Batman, or like people were complaining there's no Batman.
Did
And
you
I'm
do
like,
that review?
Oh, yeah. I was like, shh.
This future foe guy.
500% of the reviews.
Bat Lover 15 on
Yeah.
IMDb forums.
Yeah,
No,
yeah,
kidding. But so I was like confused. I was like, well, why were you expecting a Batman movie? Like, it's not like I
Clearly
knew
called Joker.
it's called Joker, and it's like I feel like they're maybe trying to work with the timeline that it's supposed to be kind of ish now, which they kind of did.
that's the cool thing.
like,
It's a one off, but then it could definitely work within
It could work within it. So I was like, I wasn't really expecting anything. Overall, I actually really enjoyed this movie a lot. hands down, like we'll talk about this more later on, but like Joaquin Phoenix's performance is absolutely
Unreal.
incredible.
Yeah.
And I didn't know where it was going, what it was going to be about at all, and I was okay with that. And I was like, you know what, I'm just like in for the ride. I'm buying everything that is being shown to me on screen. I'm in, and it was a really fun movie, and it was really interesting, and I had a blast with it. I think it could have been even darker. And I'm wondering, like, if it had limitations for being a DC movie, for getting as dark as it really could have. But yeah, I generally like really solid movie.
Corey, before we go to Caitlin.
Corey, before we go to Caitlin,
Mhm.
I like Tom said, I was a proponent for this film long time ago. I'm a big fan of getting some more one shots. I think what DC's been doing, where it's not really trying hard to interconnect its movies, is
Yeah.
really working for it.
Just tell the stories that they want to tell.
Right. And I did my research as well on this. I've seen King of Comedy. I watched Taxi Driver leading up to it. And I actually left a little disappointed, to be honest. I think Joaquin's performance deserves an Oscar 100%, because
Yeah.
that's probably one of the most encapsulating performances I've seen on screen in a long time, like
Yeah.
a very long time. I don't think I've ever, in my adult life, left a theater thinking, holy shit, how did he do that, since like The Master. So,
Yeah.
and the cinematography was completely out of this world. The use of color and their shallow depth of field was so unsettling at all
Yeah.
times, in the best possible way. My issues with it, and we'll get into that a little later, were heavy borrowing, and I don't really think, in my opinion, the movie had much to say profoundly. I think it touched on a lot of topics lightly, but I think it more waxed philosophical than anything else. So I left not stoked. However,
Yeah.
I still believe this is, like Tom said, one of the most important superhero comic movies that's been made. And I'm really hoping that with the success that it's had in the box office, that the studios take more risks like this and allow directors to tell their own origins just origins, but own stories of the characters that they want.
I think I think it'll be a bigger topic later in the episode, where
Of
like
course.
the limitations and leeways of it still being a comic book based
Liberties as well.
liberties of being a comic book based movie. So like that's we're gonna talk about that for sure.
Caitlin,
Yeah.
bring us home.
So this was very much the movie I hoped it would be.
But not the one you deserve.
No, even from like the initial 25 minutes of credits in the beginning,
Hell
actual 25 minutes, we clocked that.
You mean trailers?
Trailers,
Yeah.
whatever. I don't know.
Trailers?
I
I
don't
was
even know
like,
what I
wait,
said.
We had like
Trailers.
25 minutes of trailers, which is whatever.
Yeah, but a lot of them were about like very heavy topics. All of the trailers were very heavy. It was a lot of mental
really?
health commercials.
It gives
Weird.
you like a oh, this is what I've signed up for.
Yes. Yeah, you know what you were in for from the beginning. And I actually left the theater smiling. Like one of those smiles that like wouldn't go away for a while. I'm like, this is unsettling. I shouldn't be smiling this much after this movie. This is like maybe uncomfortable. But kind of the phrase that kept coming in my head is, well, good, now they know. And
They get what they deserve.
no, not so much
Oh,
that, but just like I feel like a lot of superhero movies have, in Google Maps you can go all the way out into like the solar system. That's how superhero movies have been. We are so removed from like the social issues that are happening on the ground with the people that live in the towns that are being attacked. That this was kind of like this is how these villains and people are created. This is why the crime rate is what it
Yeah.
is in Gotham. This is
Yeah.
how this came to this point.
Well, it was very believable. Like,
Extremely.
You watch the descent happen
Yeah.
on screen.
Gotham's lost its way.
Well, yes, but also like it was great social commentary for everything. Like we finally got to zoom in with the Google Maps and see every fine detail on
Every
the
green
ground.
follicle.
Every green follicle, every blade
All
of
the
grass,
moles,
all
everything.
the moles.
Hell yeah.
Um,
Hell yeah.
But no,
All
I
the pudding.
think his performance, Joaquin's performance was spot on for someone with mental health issues. I have been around such a number of people who've actually had psychotic breaks in front of me. schizophrenic, bipolar, everything you can possibly think of,
gamut.
narcissistic, sociopaths, like everybody.
Mhm.
I have been friends with people who are the equivalent of this person,
I
and
got family.
Yeah.
So
I am one. No, I'm just kidding.
I am one, guys.
No.
Might be.
And then
Maybe.
they go and fight people, and then Batman beats them up.
Actually,
Well,
kind of
no,
on
it
that
just-
on that note, on something that has been said on the show, it's a quote of just like one bad day away
Right.
from.
I
Killing
don't.
joke.
Well, I mean,
yeah.
what I mean is, it's like this has always been building up in him,
Right.
and it just takes one bad day to go
I've
and kind of send it over.
I get that. I don't
Except
feel
I
like
think
it's.
this was like 3 weeks.
I don't feel like the one bad day is wholly correct.
I
but-
want to talk
Not
about
in
that.
this film.
Talk about
Yeah.
that a little bit later, but yeah, there's
Killing
Yeah.
joke
there
is
is there's a nod to it specifically, and I want to talk about that later on.
To tidy up my initial reaction was I think this was a really great film, even with its gritty, weird, unsettling aspects. I think that it lived in that space in a very cozy way.
I would also add to initial reaction of it's not a kids movie. Everyone,
No, if
no.
you bring your children to
Don't
this,
take them.
bring
don't.
your teens, but not your kids.
but also reserve the time to
Yeah.
like have really in-depth conversations about what this movie is, where it came from, why it's there, and how it relates to your world. Because if you don't take the time to do that, you're doing a massive disservice to anybody who watches it.
So moving on to our meat and potatoes, as I like to say. We'll do the brief synopsis, and then I'll hand Caitlin the script over so she can do the potatoes. So, brief synapse. We start in 1980s, 1970s Gotham, and we have Arthur Fleck, who is a clown for hire who works out of an agency that hires clowns out to different businesses. And we see from the social norms that the city is rotting. And by no means of guise or trickery, this is New York City. This is a tie-in as New York City, the rich of the rich, the poor of the poor, the slums of the slums, and he gets attacked and beaten up as we saw in the trailer. And this tends to be his idling. This is where the speed of his life that he gets shitted on for all intents and purposes, and also has this uncontrollable laughter. And he actually carries a card, like I think most people with different able abilities do, to explain what's going on. I think we're all familiar with people who are differently able to go to a mall and then they give you a little flyer saying like, please donate money. And he has those cards he carries with them. And he takes care of his mom in his apartment that he lives out of and meets a woman that's never named, but her name is Sophie Dumond, played by Zazie Beetz. And life seems to be taking, a bit of a higher point, but then at every turn, either he will get money taken away from his paycheck because of things that he's out of his control. He thinks his friends are helping him out by getting him a gun, but then that ends up backfiring on him, and he brings it to a children's hospital, and it gets him fired and loses his job. Throughout the entire time, his mom is trying to plead with him to make sure that they check the mail because Thomas Wayne is going to help them. And she used to work for Thomas Wayne, and if he knew what they were living like, he would throw up, and he would be so sick of it. But he has gained some weight, and he is thinking about becoming mayor for this city that's lost its way. And then one night, when things are really down for Mr. Arthur Fleck, he rides a subway train and gets ganged up on
Attacked.
by three douchebaggy Wall Street Wayne Enterprise probably interns, and he uses the gun and kills them. He uses the first one to defend himself against the first two. The one gets away, and then he chases the other one down at the steps of the trainway station and kills them. And then he freaks out, runs away, and then finds himself in a public restroom, dimly lit in lime green neon. Music starts to play, and he finds his center. He finds who he is, and he enjoys it. Finding his peace, not really enjoying it yet. This is the beginning of the chrysalis of the pupa to the great moth. And as story ensues, he starts going to do stand-up, and he imagines a world where he is on the Late Show with Jimmy Fallon. I mean, with Murray.
Murray.
Played by Robert De Niro. And he does his first stand-up thing, and he bombs completely, but that's okay because he's on a wonderful date, and he's seeing that the Joker is becoming a symbol for the disenfranchised. And later on, we find out that one of the letters that his mom has been sending out is to Thomas Wayne. He opens and reads it and says that Arthur Fleck is Thomas Wayne's son. Big change for everyone that's like knows about DC Comics and it's like, oh my God, Joker's brother, Batman, da da da. So he goes and visits young little Bruce Wayne, and meets him, talks to him before the pearls and the gunshot, like all Batman movies have,
and Joker movies.
and meets Bruce Wayne and also gets in a little tiff with Alfred, and Alfred kind of reveals saying like, hey, your mom's crazy, she's delusional, like yada yada. And slowly we start seeing the threads and seams of Arthur's life kind of being fabricated to fall apart into shambles. More insanity ensues. And we get to the point where police officers are investigating. His mom has a stroke. And he goes to Arkham State Hospital to get the records of his mother's admittance, but also finds out that he is indeed adopted. This is compounded with the fact that he does confront Thomas Wayne, and Thomas Wayne completely shuts him away
And punches him in the
and
face.
punches him in the face without giving him any warmth or anything that this character, Arthur Fleck, sorely needs. And after this terrible, terrible discovery that he's adopted, his name may not be Arthur Fleck, which is a nice thing. And his mom let him be abused for years, and that's why he was early admitted to Arkham State Hospital. And then now his social worker can't support him, so he can't get his medication. He goes to his loving girlfriend, Sophie Dumont, for us, the audience, to realize that it was all a figment of his imagination. And then he starts changing. He gets a wonderful phone call that he'll be on the Murray Tonight Show. And then he decides to embrace the moniker of being the Joker after he kills his mother. And finds out that his life is not a tragedy, but a comedy. And he puts on the white makeup, and then his friend who gave him the gun, as well as his manager, show up. And then he makes his fifth kill.
Not his manager.
It's not his manager, it's just a friend.
They're
I
just
guess.
two other clowns.
Two other clowns. Kills one and then lets the other one go because the other one was the nicest person to him out of everyone.
Always
he's
nice
ever
to
met.
him.
And then he goes to the Tonight Show and he sets up, and they're worried because of the bit. But he makes his grand appearance, and he tries
He's
to do
planning
it,
on
killing himself.
yeah.
Do a knock-knock joke and shoots himself. But he goes in, he brings his book out, and he's just there to be made jabs out of from Robert De Niro's character. But then he finally has his break, his clarity of what do you get when you get a mentally ill loner mixed with a society that's forgotten about him, exactly what you fucking deserve, and shoots him on live television, causes mass hysteria. At this point, Gotham is in riot mode. Protest, everything,
Cars
fires.
on fire.
And so he's arrested and saved by another person wearing a clown mask. And much like a Jesus fashion, is pulled out of the car, laid on top of the police car, and rises to see his many followers as he has become a symbol of those who need to fight against the disparity between the rich and the poor. And it ends with a flashback to a time when he was in the Arkham Asylum and laughs at a joke that the recorder wouldn't understand.
Oh,
Credits.
see, I didn't think that was a flashback.
And no, that's a forward.
That's
I
a
think that's
forward.
forward, yeah.
Flashback, flash forward,
And
it's-
kills her.
and kills her and walks away. That's it. Credits.
You
Yeah.
forgot about Crime Alley.
Oh, Bruce Wayne's parents died, the pearls and all this.
Wait,
stuff.
that's how they. No, I'm just kidding.
Shout out to David Bear and the Capes of Stairs. He hates that.
Yeah.
So, did that work for you, Ollie? Since you haven't seen it yet?
my God.
I think I got the idea now.
Yeah.
Oh,
Cool.
yeah?
Cool.
So moving on, the potatoes.
Okay, so production. It is distributed by Warner Brothers Pictures. The directors is Todd Phillips, who did Road Trip, Old School, Starsky and Hutch, and The Hangover. So this is a pretty big departure from The Hangover. So producers is Bradley Cooper, who did American Sniper, War Dogs, and A Star Is Born, and Emma Tillinger-Koskoff, who did Wolf of Wall Street, Silence, The Departed. I might be botching these names. I'm sorry if I am. Writers, Todd Phillips, who did Road Trip, Due Date, Borat, and Scott Silver, who did 8 Mile, The Mod Squad, and The Fighter. The cast is Joaquin Phoenix, who did Her, Gladiator, Walk the Line, and The Master, and Robert De Niro, who did Raging Bull, Taxi Driver, Cape Fear, Zazie Beetz, who was in Deadpool Deadpool 2, Atlanta, Lucy in the Sky, Francis Conroy, The Aviator, 6 Feet Under, How I Met Your Mother, Mark Maron, Almost Famous, Glow, and Maron, and Brett Marin. Sorry about that.
It's okay.
Like I said, and Brett Cullen, who did The Dark Knight Rises, Ghostwriter, and Person of Interest. This released on October 4th of 2019. Runtime is 122 minutes. Budget was $55 million. And 94 million domestic, 234 million global. A Rotten Tomatoes score of 69 for critics, 91% audience score.
Nice.
Bang, bang.
Critics and audiences have different opinions.
Very.
I think.
Sometimes.
Some just like Venom. Man, these two villain movies making a lot of money for critics and audience.
I know. I know.
So I do want to take a moment and talk a little bit about the social awareness about this film. Like I was talking about in the beginning, there has been like a weird marring of the press junkets and all that stuff.
Yeah.
It won at the Venice Film Festival with the top awards, Golden Lions and everything. But Todd Phillips, in a paraphrased way, I think a publisher released an article saying that how he decided to stop doing comedy films because it's hard to do comedy films in this quote unquote woke culture. And that completely
Bullshit.
destroyed a lot of the credibility that he had. But I think in a similar way, I think he misspoke and misstepped because I think what he's also trying to talk about how is something that Bill Burr and Dave Chappelle also talk about, like, and Joe Rogan as well, that they're comedians and it's so tough to actually joke about anything nowadays. And it is this like, we're so willing to attack things and
The cancel culture.
the cancel culture. I think there is a line to toe between the two. And I think he definitely stepped on some people's toes, especially with that.
Well, he also went on a whole rant about the leftists, and it was a weird article.
There's a lot of agenda with it, but and later on this got compounded with Scorsese's comment recently that he said that the MCU films are not cinema, and kind of saying like how they're loud and odious and they're a carnival X, Y, and Z. I do want everyone at home to be listening, and to our namesake of Nerd On, where all levels of nerd are welcome. Let not the words of few destroy the things that you love. They don't. They're not
Right.
coming into your house. Martin Scorsese didn't say MCU films are not cinema. Came to your house, destroyed your $549 Infinity Gauntlet saga, and said you can't watch this anymore. Todd Phillips didn't say you can't, like, Booksmart doesn't exist because that's a film that is a comedy with woke culture.
An amazing comedy.
So let that not be your deterrent for watching this film, because I think the film is greater than the sum of its parts. And even though Scorsese didn't produce it, he did have a lot to do with the film. But yeah, I think it's just kind of interesting. I think a lot of people are willing to attack things before they even watch it. Ali, you've talked about like sometimes media, and we talked about it with Captain Marvel, and sometimes that affects things too. And it's tough, like you get toxic fandom left and right. You get toxic fandom for men and for women. You get toxic fandom for everything. So it's like, just let the art kind of be its art and like let it find its way. Because I think, again, the film speaks for itself, where it's more than, it's not trying to say like, we're an artsy film and we're going to win awards and we're better than Marvel. It's as if Kevin Feige said, the Joker film is not a comic book movie. And I don't think that's a dig, right? Because it's not. To me, this is a film.
Yeah.
And that shouldn't be a bad thing. It's like as if Gordon Ramsay said
It's just inspired by
to Josh, hey, In-N-Out isn't fine dining. And then he goes to your house and destroys In-N-Out. Like, no, In-N-Out is
Then
still
you slap Gordon Ramsay in the face.
In-N-Out is still great food, but it's not fine dining, and that's not a problem. So
Right.
I don't know. I kind of
That's just like
don't agree
your
with
opinion,
that
man.
necessarily. Yeah.
I mean, I would say like the thing is like what each film and each art piece are trying to achieve doesn't take away from the fact that you can still enjoy it. And I think
Right.
labeling things of like, this is a cinematic masterpiece. Like Kevin Feige is responsible for the largest franchise in human history. And I don't think anyone could take that away from him,
No.
or anyone could take that from Marvel. So like if he were to say like, if-
Scorsese said that, and Kevin Feige went, "Okay,
yeah,
sure,
if Feige said like, we don't want to be
whatever you
bleak,
say."
if we don't want to be bleak and dark, then we don't want to be bleak and dark. And I don't think that's what hero films are. Doesn't take away from the fact that Dark Knight is still one of the greatest trilogies of all time.
Right.
So
Yeah,
like,
and
like-
doesn't take away from his films either.
yeah. So like
Yeah.
everyone at home, we can discuss it, but let's discuss it in a manner that is conducive to us still loving the things that we love.
Don't
Yeah.
immediately cancel it just because of
Like Joker
random
said,
things
it's all
that come up.
subjective.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it is.
Comedy's
really is.
subjective, Murray.
It is.
Murray.
With that, I mean, going back to Josh's point, one bad day. In the film, I've had I've had a hell of a week.
Yeah.
And I think that's compounded with that nod to Killing Joke because it is, in the book, you know, he looks at Batman and says, "You had a bad day, and I had a bad day, and that's all it takes." And Joker in this film, what it's trying to say is, all it takes is one bad life, because
Yeah.
this is bound
It's
to happen.
nonstop for him.
And it's
Yeah.
happening all around him. And I thought it was just kind of really poetically done where, again, you're throwing it into the real world space. And there's nothing supernatural about this. This is a world that we live
Except for
in.
the
Yeah.
super rats.
I feel like
I know, I love that, though.
I feel like what bothers
I
me
did not.
about the one bad day thing is like you can have one bad day and make a bad choice on that day, but every choice after that is not the result of one bad day.
Well,
That's the result of
Wait, can I ask, have you read Killing Joke?
No, I'm just talking about the general like I've heard one bad day for a lot of movies in general. I'm not talking about
Oh.
this specifically. I'm just saying the blanket statement of one bad day.
In this prism, it works because
One bad day
it's an
once
homage. It's an
you've,
homage
like,
to
built
the
up to
source
it.
material, but you'd prefer this adapted work because it's more realistic.
Right.
Yeah, and I mean, yeah, that's the thing with the comic book. It is, you know, it's the comic book world. But I think also, you know, everyone at home just to kind of like, you know, pull the veil back. If you didn't catch it, I'm going to hit you over the head with it. You know, he doesn't fall into a vat of acid and turns into the Joker. He falls into the vat of
He doesn't?
society, and
sorry.
like that's what changes.
Which is
him.
great.
And like society is more corrosive than any acid could ever be.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And that's the really changing factor that I loved and I picked up on.
Not
Yeah,
physically.
Yeah.
He can be physically. He got punched in the nuts. He got kicked in the nuts a lot.
Yeah.
A
Yeah, try
lot.
pouring acid on your nuts, though, man. I don't know.
Yeah.
I didn't air.
I
Oh
That's
my
pretty
God.
close.
That was so much more information than I already needed
Next
to know in my
stop,
life.
next stop
Or-
is Icy Hot.
Uh,
Mm,
Little chestnuts.
Anywho,
icy hot.
yeah. Anyway, please.
Well, I
please.
was gonna say, I mean, it really, like I said, it was a breath of fresh air in a sense of like somebody who has dealt with mental health things and has seen it personally and have seen people. I mean, it really is. I mean, life compounds, and it really. I'm gonna kind of weave this kind of into favorite parts and just a sense of like explaining some of my favorite parts. It's more of an overall aspect that is my favorite part is the slow decline, so to speak, of just the compounding of events that just kind of
Yeah.
add to his psyche basically snapping. And
You feel for the guy.
you
Yeah.
do, you feel for him, and it's a breath of fresh air because
To an
it's,
extent.
yeah, to an sorry, I lost my train of thought.
Way to go, Corey.
No,
It wasn't me.
but it comes to a standpoint of like all of these people have stories. These bad guys, quote, have stories, and it's cool to see the story that because he makes you can see it in his eyes when he makes a decision at some point where he's kind of found his peace.
Mm.
And one of my favorite moments of that piece is actually when he kills his mom.
Mm-hmm.
And what I really appreciate is that I think that they used a different take for the
Everyone at
trailer.
home, don't kill your mom.
Don't do that.
Don't
Yeah.
don't do that.
They do a lot of things
it's,
in this movie.
It's more so like the take that they used in the trailer, I can tell was different than the take that they actually used in the cut. And I really loved the cut because it was just so, I almost want to say serene when he's like, I've realized that I used to think that my life
It was a tragedy.
tragedy and I realized it's a fucking comedy. And just the way that he delivered it, and he was just so like steadfast in a way like this is like, it was.
This is
is
the
what it
only
is.
natural course of action that could happen now.
Yeah, like it was so awesome to see a guy that has just been dealing with this life and all of this shit, and to have kind of a personal like thing, an infliction, so to speak. It's almost
It's cathartic.
yeah, it's
I-
cathartic, and it's I read something that I just really resonated with me. That somebody was saying it was like his laugh was actually a part of him that was trying to get out, and he was
Mm.
finally
And he says
like,
that.
and he's embracing it,
Mhm.
and it's like.
Yeah,
You used to say this is something wrong with me, but now
Yeah.
I realize like I have to be
this
happy.
is who I am.
Yeah.
This is the real me, I think he says.
And from that point, from
he
the
doesn't
point,
use his fake laugh ever again.
yeah, from that point forward, he doesn't have those outbursts as much. Like you
Right.
you hear kind of like a, like it's kind of a really it's.
But he dances more.
yeah.
Corey, favorite parts?
I mean, I can't go into favorite parts without saying the blood smile was
Oh,
Oh, yeah.
Right, yeah.
And for me, and I mean this in the best way possible, Josh, you're talking about it being cathartic. Everything he did, as far as like killing that third guy or killing his mom, never felt good, and it never felt
No.
like Do you know what I mean? It never felt cathartic for me. Like it just compounded how I felt.
Oh, I'm
and
sorry.
I mean that in the best way possible.
Well, what I mean is like, let me explain. Like cathartic for
Yeah.
him,
Right,
Like,
of course.
cathartic for the character. For me, I'm like, oh damn.
No.
Can-
That's how I felt the whole time.
Can I
Yeah.
jump on that real quick? Because to me, and this is everyone, let's put me on the little watch list, right? I
jeez.
absolutely loved it when he killed somebody, because not because like, oh yeah, killing is great, but like the way the film is framed and the way you're following Fleck's character, everything is so goddamn tense.
Yeah.
Until he kills somebody, like the music starts swelling, the shots are
Like
just
him
like
being beat up on the subway.
claustrophobic on him, and so it's like you feel like there is, and in film language, like it's also like when you get two characters who are gonna obviously bone in the film, like that's called sexual tension. This is like anxious, murderous anxiety that you're having, where it's like someone's going to die, and I don't know how or when it's
Mhm.
going to happen. And so when
But
I
it's going to.
yeah, and so when it happens, I'm like, oh, cool, it's over. Because like also the character is kind of at peace too, and for me, I'm like,
Oh, I mean,
yeah.
yeah, go ahead.
Like,
Sorry.
to me,
I was going to
it's-
say, because the first two guys were fine. But the third guy he chased down, I was like,
Like,
oh,
but
fucking
even though with
no.
the mom and then also with the other guy that he kills, I was kind of like, something's going to fucking happen. And then it's like, it happens like, and then, but the thing is like, it's crazy because like he has a smile on his face, and then it's kind of like, it's weird because it's kind of like his external demons he's kind of extinguishing, and then he's just kind of like embracing. And it felt very to me like that was cathartic for me, like to see him so tortured and so destroyed, and then all of a sudden he's actually able to release.
Yeah.
It felt good because he's holding it in. Like the first time he shoots a gun, it's on accident. Every other
Yeah.
time after that, it's intentional.
Mhm.
And so like he's using that kind of found power that he shittily got to exact vengeance on the world that's done him terribly wrong. And it's, to me, that was like an interesting experience that I had throughout, where I was just like, oh fuck. And then also when you have, I was like, oh, this is cool. Now the rest of the story is going to continue.
See,
Hmm.
I think I only hesitate with the phrasing that's being used of like, yeah, it was awesome, it was cool. It's like we're not.
Glorifying
We're
the
not.
Yeah.
It sounds like we're glorifying it because in a way we are right now, which is
Not
not.
me. I said I didn't like it.
I know.
Corey's safe.
But I just want to
I'm
talk
safe.
about like. I want to talk about that a little bit because I know like several people who have issues with this exact kind of thing of like, oh, it was so great, it was so cool when they murdered all those people. It's like that's not
What we mean.
that's not
yeah.
what we mean, and I don't want it to be
It's
taken
within
out of
the
context.
throes of
it's,
the story.
it's within the throes of the story, but it's also like
as a
Well, it's
narrative.
like effective filmmaking.
yeah.
Like that's
more
kind of
that like this person has been trapped in a corner and getting to see them get out of that corner by whatever means necessary is what is comforting.
I mean, look at John
for
Wick.
us.
right.
Right. So we like John Wick. Things are fine with John Wick because he seems like he's got it together and these people are coming for him.
Mhm.
But in Joker, these people are coming for him just as bad, but also casting him aside in the same way. And he is literally clawing his way out of that situation, and he's trying to make his
Trying to
own world.
Breaking those boots.
And that's why
Mhm.
that's why we use the words like cool and awesome, because
Yeah.
it's like he is just trying to exist in a world that has no space for him.
yeah.
And
Mhm.
as a lot of nerds, we can relate to that aspect of
I also
wanting
think
to
when
get
we-
our own space. And
Yeah.
that's not a
when we
good
s-
thing. There
when
are
we say
better
cool and-
ways.
oh.
Yeah, I'm
Yeah.
sorry.
No, I was gonna say when we say cool and awesome, it's not the actual act of someone dying. It's the storytelling that's happening.
It's the
that's cool.
storytelling
Mhm.
that's happening that's cool. I just want to make sure that we clarify that because
Sure.
there is no glorification in killing other people.
Yeah,
That's
no.
not cool.
Oh.
Don't kill people.
I want to speak about that too, where there's a lot of, been reviews are saying like this is an irresponsible film and, it's glorifying a murderer. And it's like, it's not. And I think that's an irresponsible claim.
That is what happens
So's
when
Hannibal.
you
so's
don't.
Mhm.
That's
John
what
Wick,
happens when you
so's-
don't discuss
Yeah.
what the film was
is
about.
actually talking about. And so, I mean, again, we're seeing this character. Again, this is a character study film. And
Right.
so it's not a narrative arc where it's like, he wants this, he's going to get that. And then by the end of the film, he's done this and he's
Right.
changed forever. It's more of like, this is Joker. We're character studying this character, this DC character. And then what we're using the lens of is the real world. Is that how does this fantastic clown prince of crime exist?
I agree 50% because I think there is a narrative, and I do think that there were some messages and arcs that were put in there on purpose.
I think, there's definitely arcs,
Yeah.
but it's not like a typical where it's like,
Can you elaborate on which narratives and arcs, just so we can fully flesh that
Oh,
out?
I mean, just his arc as where he starts to where he ends up is a complete character arc as far as a narrative goes. It's not just a character study of this one. Usually character study is just of someone who from A to B doesn't really change a whole lot.
Right.
There's also no, go ahead.
To add to that, it's kind of like you don't know what the character wants at the beginning of the film. And so that's why I'm saying like it's not a typical
Right, which is why I said
narrative.
50
Yeah.
50-50. It's
Well,
50-50.
I feel like you kind of do though. Yeah, like I guess I'm like 50-50.
Yeah, it's a 50-50 thing where it's like it's
He wants to be noticed.
it's both
and
hands a little
matter.
bit. It has both hands in there. But back to favorite parts ish.
No, well, and I like in my discussing that those are my favorite parts of like getting to see him
Those
find
releases,
his
Become
confidence.
those level ups,
Oh God, I don't know how I feel about
just
that.
to make it even worse.
But no, the finding his confidence was comforting, but the way he did it was not, which is what makes this unsettling. Because a friend of mine was also saying that this film shows the disparity of like the disenfranchised tiny like minority group and then everyone else, and basically puts you in the position of everyone else
I mean,
when watching this.
yeah, I mean, the interesting thing with that, I think, is that the disenfranchised and minority is actually the majority.
Right.
And
Mhm.
it's that we feel like we're part of one
kind of the
tribe
point,
and then the
yeah.
other tribe. And the thing is, like, it is always them versus us versus, like, and that's a political topic where, like, Thomas Wayne's point, it's like, you know, he calls people clowns, and then it's like, and then the news anchor says, like, this was his quote unquote apology about it. And he says, like, well, they need my help, and I'm the only one that could do it. Versus, like, we need to be better.
Right.
And we need to help each other.
Right.
And saying, like, we are a universal tribe versus, like, we are.
Besides, I am your white knight. Shut
Yeah.
up and let me help you.
And again, and that's the thing where like there is a prism that everyone looks through, like, and so from one, you know, demographic of class status, looking at the other one, they all look at each other differently versus like just realizing we're all part of the same whole.
Yeah.
Um,
I think that I like the movie. That's the thing that I
Oh, she
like
said
is
I was
my
gonna-
favorite part. But I like that this movie is giving you, because cancel culture is kind of so much of a thing. This does give you that different
for the
view.
uninitiated,
Yeah,
where's
I was
cancel
just gonna
culture?
ask, what did you just say?
cancel culture. So like the moment something doesn't fall in line with what is morally correct
Go
or
according to plan.
go
Or
according to
acceptable.
plan or acceptable, it is canceled. Like they are not allowed
Oh.
to talk anymore. They will dox them. They will hunt
No
down
one's
their
allowed to
family
make
members.
mistakes.
You are not allowed to make a mistake. So this is kind of this movie, I feel like, for me personally, is coming in to that view of like, what are things like for that person that would just be canceled? Like his first, performance, he would have been like, he sucks, he's done, that's it, okay, at like Pogo's.
Yeah.
He would have been, if he had said one off-color joke, he would have been canceled forever. But the movie goes on after that. Like, I may not be articulating this very well, but
no, it was a
but
good
No, it makes
explanation-
sense. It's good to-
explanation for me.
yeah. So just that it takes on a very different view of society and people who don't fit the mold very well.
Yeah.
Ollie, any favorite parts?
Mine was the subway scene. Well, first, my actual favorite, one of my favorites is the
How many actual favorites do you have?
I don't know. There's so many. One is the bus for sure. It's when you first see the laugh,
Okay.
yeah, come through
with the kid.
kid, and like first like entertaining him, and then like his mom asking him to like not,
Don't bother my
Bother.
kid.
and then like the way he reacts to it, and then slowly that builds and comes, and like I just think that was like a really impressive moment acting wise for me, and
Yeah.
I really dug that whole part, and then same in it's like the worst version of that in the subway.
Oh,
I think was fantastic. Just like his face, like while he's laughing, and
crying.
he's like crying while he's laughing and trying to talk, and like it just done so well.
yeah,
And then I was genuinely shocked. I didn't necessarily expect anybody to die in that subway. So
I did.
so that was that was well, I guess maybe just the moment of it happening was the shock
Mhm.
of the gunfire.
Mhm.
Like I wasn't expecting that to happen like immediately.
Mhm.
Like I knew he had a gun or whatever, but like I didn't think of like they took away his bag and it was happening so fast. I didn't think like he would be,
yeah, I think
agile
it
enough
catches
to
you off guard, which I think is
yeah, it
supposed
catches
to.
you off guard, which I think was
Well,
cool.
I mean, it's
See, for
kinda
me,
on-
go ahead.
kind of on that point is like Tom has said, it's like I know something's going to happen. I don't know what and I don't know how.
Mhm.
And
The
so
whole
it was, this
situation's
whole
tense.
movie was mini events of like, I know some shiz is going to go down right now.
Mhm.
I don't know how, and I don't know what exactly,
I agree with the
but it's about to get real.
yeah, but I agree with Corey with the final chase down. I think that was a little strange choice in the way it was shown,
I
and like him like
think-
trying to catch him through the elevator, through the doors or whatever.
I think it made sense though.
It made sense, like he wanted to finish off any survivors,
Well-
or like, but then like it doesn't seem like it's something that he would be concerned with
I
necessarily.
I think
don't know.
again we're talking about the Joker, and we're talking.
right.
To me, it
so
makes
it's hard
sense
to be. Like, it makes sense, but
because
it was
like he is a killer, and I'm not supposed to like feel for him that much because like him first two self defense, second one he chases down, he kills him in cold blood,
yeah,
and it's like to me I'm like yeah that makes sense because like he is going to become this killer,
Yeah.
and like he is not,
Or the one that inspires. The
and he is not.
no, like the killing made sense. It was just the way, like I wanted him to be more like breaking more or something
I
to
think-
like have to
Yeah.
build up the courage to chase him down.
for
like
me
it's
that would made him more too. That would have made
Too
him
human?
for me a little bit too heroish.
too heroish.
Because it would have
Interesting.
been like he's
You
only
saw the
defending himself.
struggle.
Like so far, like and that at that point so far it's been like he's only defending himself. Now
Yeah.
it's like, oh, but he's now making a decision to become evil.
Mhm.
And that's
Mhm.
okay. Like because again, this is a fictional character at this point.
It made sense for him to me ever since he did the like dancing around and the moment he did that switch of like him and like shoots at the wall and like scares himself.
Mhm.
But even then he immediately covers it up and he was like, that was fun. Like the chasing him down and killing like the little bob
It's
and
part of the
weave.
evolution.
It was just like, oh no, I'm playing now. Like
Mhm.
we're having fun now.
Mhm.
And that was where the switch came. Like I think if he thought about it too much, he wouldn't be the Joker.
Yeah. Sure.
Yeah.
Corey,
For-
you were going to
it-
say something?
Well, it's just that scene for me isn't on my favorite list just because it was too telegraphed in my opinion. I remember him having the gun in his pants in the hospital, so I know where he keeps it.
Mhm.
These three characters were too obviously the like, oh, the white rich guys jocks.
yeah.
And they're gonna harass him and they're gonna get shot.
Mhm.
So for me, I don't know what I would have changed. I don't have an answer for that. But it was a little too here it comes. And I
Yeah.
knew what was gonna happen because he has the gun in his pants on him.
So it's too
And
predictable.
I didn't not like him chasing the guy down. What I meant by that is I just didn't feel good about it. It
Right.
wasn't like a fuck yeah, he got a moment. I was like, dude,
I
no,
don't-
let him go.
I don't think you're supposed to. I think it's supposed to
No,
feel
right.
bad.
No, that's my point. Yeah, like
Oh, okay,
I was
okay,
just that was my second point to my sentence was that it just wasn't my favorite scene because
Gotcha.
I literally leaned over and said what was going to happen.
Yeah.
Oh, next favorite
Oh,
part
wait.
for me, since okay,
Go.
would be in the club when he's taking notes at Pogo's.
Oh
and
yeah.
he's laughing in between all the jokes.
His fake laughs.
Well, again, his laugh from the card is that he is opposite. His laugh comes out of opposite of what the emotion of the room is, and
yeah,
so
he doesn't
every-
understand.
and so everyone's laughing. It's a condition. I think he understands, but it's just a condition that he has.
Right.
And so,
well, if you listen to that though, it's his fake laugh.
yeah, I mean, like it's his condition. So it's like it's part.
Well, he's got two laughs. He's got his condition laugh,
Mhm.
right? And then he has his fake laugh that you see in the first time we're in the clown like locker
Yeah, in the
room.
clubs.
Oh yeah.
And they're
Oh,
making
yeah.
jokes and he walks
Walks
away,
away
and
and
as
just
soon as he's
stops.
out of sight, he's using the same laugh in the club
Mhm.
because I don't think he totally understands.
the joke.
He doesn't.
Right,
He doesn't
and
know
he just
when
knows
to laugh.
he should laugh.
Well,
Yeah.
and that's
Yeah.
what I really liked about it, where it's kind of like again, he's just off.
Mhm.
Yeah.
He's just off the what we accept as social norm.
Mm.
Yeah.
And I think that's an important thing to say where it's like, again, it's subjective, right? So whatever society allows us to think is funny is what is what we laugh at versus like he laughs at everything else. And it's compounded with the very end where he's like laughing. And then it's like, what's so funny? He's like, you wouldn't get it. And it's like, that's like, Joker 101 where it's like, he always has a joke. But like, even then, like even in the lightest form, Bruce Timm comic cartoons, right? Like he was never a good comedian. And he always had bad jokes,
Mhm.
and everyone's made fun of him for that. But then, like when he kills people, it's like, who's laughing now? And it's like, oh shit. So like, there's still some of that DNA that I really loved, where it's like, oh, that's kind of cool, or it's like fleshed out in a real world sense, where it's like I'm staying with this character. There's a lot of those kind of like instances where it's like you forget that this is like there's supposed to be comic book elements in there. Where it's like you're just watching a film and it's a film. And then all of a sudden, like, oh, it's a comic book movie. Oh, I see
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
Like, there's a lot of those cool
Yeah.
those points in there.
I think a couple of parts that are favorite without the Joker being as much focus is finding out about his mom
Mm.
and
Or not his mom.
or not his mom of like when he finds the photograph that's like love your smile
TW.
and then you're like, why would Thomas Wayne have signed a
Or did
photo
she write
of
it?
her,
Yeah.
or did she write it to herself to
Mhm.
further this narrative?
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
then like
Well, even not further that narrative, but more like she's building the world in her mind.
right, and
Mhm.
and I really liked how they did the when she's in the psych ward after being beaten by her boyfriend, and they found Arthur and everything chained or tied to the radiator, of him being in the room because reading those notes is so real that he's actually there.
Mhm.
That little reveal,
That-
the
Put him in
use
the-
of a
over the shoulder.
pan shot, like in a
Oh
good
yeah,
way,
it was great.
instead
and,
of just like pushing dialogue.
and how
The
she was
cinematography was nuts,
so
man.
completely blank, being like, no, he was such a happy kid, like just like
never heard him
recalling
cries.
something. Yeah, yeah. So all of that was done really well. Yeah.
There's an aspect that I really like too, is that when he's going home for the first time, and you see those steps and they're towering over him.
Mhm.
It's those kind of, again, those like motifs that you see that are like, wow, like the world and life that he lives is a tough one,
Yeah,
and
Yeah.
also the fact that he lives on a house on a crooked hill,
yeah.
and I'm just like,
I also love about those steps in a sense of as a symbol of like when we first see them, it's like, oh,
Daunting
shit, I
as
got
fuck.
these. And then one of the last times we see, he's
The
dancing down
was
them,
phenomenal.
Mhm.
and it's like it really
he's
is a
when he
symbol.
championed the hill.
Yeah.
He finally kept climbing, and then finally now, here comes the ride,
And
and
he-
it's like
yeah.
we want to talk to you. Oh shit,
he runs. Also, I really fucking loved him running.
his run.
His
Like-
run is pretty great.
Like at the beginning when he loses his sign, and then like you just see the shot of the alley, and then he just crosses frame and like
Yeah.
falls down. I'm like, God damn, he ran hella
Him
hard.
running from the subway too was
Yeah.
his run
He-
was physically was great.
His
Mhm.
run basically is like he always has the clown shoes on.
Yeah, it
Always.
did feel
Yeah.
like that because there was a scene later on. I was like, "Is he wearing?" I think it was him running away from the cops, and he's like,
And he didn't have the
And I'm
clown
like, you're
shoes
not
on,
wearing
but he
them, but
still
you're
ran
running
like
like
he
a-
was wearing the clown shoes.
It reminds me of my dad growing up. My
Shout out to
dad
your
was
dad.
he was a sheriff at one point, and he wore a belt with all of his gear on. And even once he stopped being a sheriff, he still walked as
Waddled.
if he had like
The gear on.
Oh,
the
yeah.
gear on. So it was like really interesting, subtle thing of like
Built
he's
into the
so
DNA.
used to his
Clown
muscle
shoes.
memory.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You can't undo it.
yeah.
When his wide elbows were
Yeah.
fantastic too.
Yeah.
I really liked the change to Thomas Wayne. I thought I wouldn't like it
Ooh.
because I was just like, but Thomas Wayne's supposed to be the good 1%. And but I was like, it serves a story in the sense of like in a world where the number one family who's supposed to be like the old money of this city. Like imagine there was an old money of LA and you find out that there might be implication that you're related to them and you don't want money, but you just want acceptance into that family because your family is gone now.
Right.
Mhm.
And he's this asshole, and it fits that sense. It could have been any other dude, but I think it's a little bit more like, oh, remember we're in a DC film. It's like,
Yeah.
okay, cool, that kind of makes sense. And I think it throws you in for a good loop because at first you think, oh shit, they're like doing again, this is an Elseworld story. They're doing a retcon that Bruce Wayne and Joker are related, which makes sense and blah blah. But it's like at the very end, you're like, oh shit, there's no sense of it all. Like he could be, he may not be.
Yeah.
So I liked that in his interaction with him, where it was just like, the thing is like Thomas Wayne is so justified in how he treats the Joker when he meets him, because he's like, "Don't you ever touch my kid again?"
Right.
But it comes off as an asshole. It's like,
Strangled
what
my
do you,
butler.
it's like, what do you want? He's like, you want an autograph? Because that's how he sees the people who are in lower classes. He doesn't see them
Yeah.
as people. He sees them as people he needs to save.
Right.
And that's the difference between Thomas Wayne and Batman, is that Batman he feels like he should be part of it and he's part of that society, where Thomas Wayne's like, they need my money, they need my resources.
Yeah.
And then when he punches him, like, again, you feel conflicted, which I think is a good thing to do. Because again, I think what the film does is that this isn't a superhero film. This is not even a supervillain film. It's a people film, really. And
Yeah.
like, there are no heroes. There's not one person that's particularly good, and there's a lot of terrible people. Like, I think the only good person really is Zazie Beetz with the
Yeah.
with the
Maybe
kid.
we don't know.
Maybe she could be terrible.
As
She
far
could
as
be
we
terrible
know,
mom.
because also all of the
Yeah.
things that we knew
She
about
wanted to kill
her,
herself in the elevator.
Yeah.
Yeah, she wanted to kill herself in the elevator, and that's kind of all we actually know about her because everything else was constructed.
Yeah. Which is a little nod to Taxi Driver
Oh, okay.
Mm-hmm.
at the
Yeah.
very end. But
I haven't seen it.
any other favorite parts?
Yeah, I have one more.
Is it your real one, as Ollie would say?
but my actual favorite.
Your
part.
actual favorite.
My actual
Okay, good.
actual
Just
favorite
making
part. No, it's the scene when he actually the two
Action?
clowns come and visit
Visit him?
him, and he kills the big guy, and then the other guy is
Jump
just like,
scares the-
holy like he's just like, oh damn,
But he's
and he
crying.
but he also he lets him go, but
Oh,
when he kisses him on the forehead, I'm like,
that's so Joker.
wow. And he just kind of lets him go, and he's just so serene, and just like it was just an interesting just to see that kind of because you're almost on the edge of
Progression.
your seat, like he's not going to, no, he's not going to kill this guy, and he just kind of lets him out, and you're like, whoa.
Well, there's some method in the madness where it's kind of like, Two-Face, right? Like
Yeah.
he flips a coin, he wants to kill the guy, but the coin won't let him.
Yeah.
Right? Where it's like there is a little bit of some rule.
Yeah,
There's some guidelines. It's not completely anarchy.
yeah,
So,
Well, the thing it toys with you with too is that lock.
Yeah.
And you're like, did he do that on purpose to tell him he could go and then kill him?
yeah.
Yeah. I thought, not that it's a favorite part, just that it was like fascinating for the character of he's putting on his makeup, he hears the knock at the door,
he
and
likes
you
the
see
paint.
him like search. He's like, what's dangerous? Scissors.
Mhm.
And just like grabs the first thing he could find.
That's dangerous.
Yeah. Like, I thought that was very par for the course of.
At this
And when
point,
he's
he's
kinda
fully
like-
At this point, he's fully in it. He's like, I can kill anyone with pretty much anything. Scissors is fine.
And
I'm gonna
again,
kill myself on TV tonight. Doesn't matter.
Yeah.
And he has such a clarifying. It's interesting to watch him kind of react to the other guy, and he's like, oh yeah, that makes total
But then
sense.
his arms are
Yeah,
spread out,
yeah,
and then he's just
yeah.
contorting them.
Yeah. that's-
I completely thought that he was gonna go on the show and then do what he did in Dark Knight Returns and kill the entire
The
audience.
entire audience.
And I was like,
Mhm.
oh my god, are we gonna like? And that to
I
me,
did too. I was like, are we getting that?
well, so
Yeah.
like the tough thing with that is like, how would he do it, right? In the Dark Knight Returns animated film, he does it with poison gas, right? It would, to me, I think, be a tough line to cross,
I'm so glad they didn't do it.
especially
course.
if he had like a semi-automatic weapon.
Oh.
Like
no,
that's
no,
a little
no, no,
like
no,
it's
no.
a
Yeah.
little tough to cross, but like the fact the way that you knew something was going to happen, and then
Yeah, they
how
showed
it
the gun.
happened.
Chekhov's gun.
Yeah, and then so you're like, is he going to kill himself or is he going to kill? Because to me, I knew for a fact that he's not going to kill himself. He's going
Right.
to kill
Someone
either everyone
else.
or he's going to kill somebody, right? And so the way they did that, it felt like this big giant burst of like, we're getting it's that tension building of like what Arthur Fleck has been going through.
Right.
And he's just, he says that line, he's like, what do you get when blah, blah, blah. And it's just like this crazy climactic moment where it's like, boom, and it's like a release. And it's like, Joker is now in the real world. Joker is now dancing on TV, telling people that he exists. And it's a crazy moment, but like, I was just like, holy shit, if they do fucking Dark Knight Returns, it's crazy, which in an interesting way, everyone at home, I don't know if you remember 2012, there was an Aurora shooting at the theater during The Dark Knight Rises.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And the parents pleaded to Warner Brothers to not screen Joker there. And they said yes, they were not going to screen the Joker there, which I thought was really tasteful, which again, it's like, I think it's a tough thing with the subject matter of like, this is character and that he lives, permeates through mediums and genres and stuff like
Mhm.
that. So
Yeah.
Even though, I mean, there's a whole thing where the kid had nothing to do with
Yeah,
Batman and
100%.
Joker. He was
Nothing.
looking for the fullest theater.
yeah, 100%.
But
But
happened to
it,
be Batman.
it just,
Mhm.
it was so close to home at that point, and
Yeah.
that's kind of the interesting thing again, for the good and for the bad.
One
And-
more.
Yes.
Okay.
It's more so the experience of that scene when he kills Murray.
Mm.
It was more so an audience experience. The whole audience just went, whoa!
Yeah. When you're in
Yeah.
the theater?
Yeah, and in
Mhm.
the theater. It was just a fun experience in that. Everybody's reaction.
And something I want to put at the cap of favorite parts, just because we've been talking very excitedly about a very murderous clown. We always say that, if you want to talk to us about whatever we're talking about, definitely hit us up in comments, emails, whatever, especially for this film and how we're talking about things. If something perked your ear and you're not cool with how it was said or how it was phrased or whatever, make a discussion with us, please. We want to talk about this stuff. And we don't want anybody out there listening to feel like, oh, they said that one thing that one time and I don't like it. So like, please discuss with us. That's what we want. We want to talk to you guys about the intricacies of this stuff.
No cancel culture here, baby.
No cancel culture here. And we can have differing opinions. That's totally fine. But we want to be open and have discussions about that.
As long
This is the point of the show.
But my preferred method of conversation is sliding through my DMs, please. Thank you.
Yeah, there's
So,
Tom.
Favorite-
Including the things,
Yes.
the people that we like the most.
Yes. So favorite characters?
Favorite characters?
I mean, other than the titular character?
I don't know. It's hard because there aren't. One of
There
the things I
aren't very
like is that
many.
there aren't very
Not-
many
not a
characters
big
to choose
cast,
from.
yeah.
I like Clark, the administrative guy in the Arkham.
Yeah.
Actually, I really did like him.
I mean, yeah. Do we want to go?
He's from Atlanta too.
Yeah, he is.
Oh.
Yeah. Do you want? Let's do favorite characters other than Joker.
Yeah, that's fair.
Oh, geez.
I know, right?
I like
I
Gary.
don't know if I have one.
Gary?
Gary was his short friend.
Oh, okay.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, he was nice.
I did
He's
like
the nicest guy
Gary.
there.
Little person.
It's so hard to have a favorite character when most 95% of the focus is on Joker.
Yeah.
And the other 5% are kind of pieces of shit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There aren't that many people who are portrayed as like good people in this. So it's hard to say that you like anybody.
You know what? I do like Clark. You know why? Because Arthur Fleck starts kind of divulging. It's like, I did something real bad. I messed up and I got away with it. And I thought I would feel bad, but I don't feel bad. And then he says, I think as everyone should say, it's like, hey man, I'm just admin. I just, move these things back and forth, but you should talk to somebody.
Yeah.
Oh, the clerk, Carl.
Yeah, Carl. But like to me, that's also comes, double fisted with like the fact of like he says you should go see somebody, and then Arthur has to come back. He's like, why? Because they'll cancel all of the support that actually people need. It's like, true. It's like,
Yeah.
Oh, he just goes, they canceled the.
Yeah.
There's
And-
no funding left.
Yeah, and it's like that's true. He was talking to somebody about it, but the thing is also
Kind
like,
of.
was that person really paying attention to what he was saying?
Yeah.
I felt for her, his like social worker.
Well, she drops a big truth.
Yeah. She's like,
They don't give a fuck
they don't
about
give
you.
a fuck about you
or me.
and they don't give a fuck about me. And
Shit.
she had basically just lost her job.
Yeah.
So,
Mhm.
I felt for her. You also don't like her because it's kind of she does ask the same question. She doesn't really care because she's
Yeah.
stuck in this
It's like a
cycle of
scripted conversation.
right.
If anyone remembers other Alan Moore stuff like Watchmen, where he actually has a moment with Rorschach getting interrogated by a black therapist, and then they have a bad tiff back and forth. And it's more like, again, it's not that he's black, but it's the social differences. He's like, it's like, you're fat, you're wealthy paid, and I don't like you. And it's like, Jesus Christ. But again, that was during that time.
Right.
And it was just kind of, again, drawing the line of the social norms. Like, you see me as this disease. I see you as the reason why we exist.
Mm.
And it's like, oh, God. So it's tough.
Just like picking a favorite character.
Yeah, I don't know if I
Yeah.
have one. I don't know if I can pick.
The music.
I guess
The music.
Murray.
Sure, if
Because
that's a character.
You guess Murray.
Murray, yeah.
Yeah. I don't really have a secondary character. I was like
Tony
that guy,
Bennett Light.
That chick.
Yeah.
I would probably have done Zazie Beetz if they gave her more things to say.
yeah.
If she had dialogue.
If
If she was
if
real.
she was actually real.
No.
And like there.
I have a whole thing about that.
Oh.
Okay. So
yeah, I don't think I really. I guess I'd pick Gary, or Gary, right?
Yeah.
Gary.
Yeah, I think I'd pick Gary just because like
Gary.
he was the only one that was nice, and
Like actually nice.
I liked the kids
like
at the
actually
hospital.
nice.
I liked him when he
Yeah.
screamed when he dropped the gun. It's kind of funny to me.
God.
Moving on to qualms.
Sure.
Qualms. Corey has a lot to say. Or wait, hold on. Caitlin put up a hand.
Super rats.
Okay, you know what? I really liked it because they brought it back as like the only thing that could beat is super cats, and I was like, because fucking superheroes are super bad. And I'm like, all right. But I
No,
was just
dude,
like,
it sucked because they never did anything with it.
Yeah.
No, they did
they
show.
didn't show a giant fucking
no,
rat.
when
Oh, cool, they
when-
showed it. But like, what was the point of
when
opening
Bruce,
your movie with
when
it?
Bruce Wayne's parents died, some rats did scamper in the background.
Well, I was gonna say when he's
Oh,
on the
there's the
That's
payoff.
it.
when he's on the phone call, and then like you see a giant fucking rat next to like one of the strumpets, as I would say.
Yeah.
Strumpets.
Oh.
Yeah, I've been
Mhm.
playing a lot of Witcher, and that's what
Oh,
they're called,
okay.
strumpets.
Okay.
Strumpets.
That's one of my qualms. Is
Super
the-
The
rat.
super rats.
Super rats.
Yeah, they were.
It was
Why?
like it was like one of those. It's like it's literally the like rule in theaters, like don't show a gun on stage unless you're gonna use it. It was super rats in the beginning of the film opening. So I'm like, oh, this must be important. And then the film ended, and I went, what the. Where were the super rats? What was the deal with that?
This was
Don't put them
actually
in. Don't put them in the movie.
This was like the origin story for
Ratman.
Teenage
Ratcatcher.
Mutant Ninja Turtles.
Yeah.
The sewers is going to be where they
Oh,
live.
God.
It's actually in Gotham
Well,
that they grew up. And
Which would
for
work.
Where is
me,
Batman
for
and
me,
Ninja
it
Turtles?
related to when in Dark Knight Rises they're saying like, oh, you're gonna find alligators in the sewers, and they're talking about killing
Mhm.
Croc, and I'm like,
It
You know,
wasn't
it's
enough for me to
Yeah.
tie those together, though.
Yeah, it was pretty far reach. That super bothered me. What? I got miffy about something like that was a mole on the neck.
talk about it. That's the
No, I
point.
can't remember what it was.
It was the blood. It was the CG
Josh,
blood.
go.
Oh, the CGI blood.
There we go.
Yeah, I not that it's a qualm in that like it took me out of the moment being like, is that CGI? That's
What was
CGI.
CGI?
What are they?
The
The
blood.
blood on his face. Every time there was blood on his face, it was CGI'd
Oh, I didn't notice.
because it just
Some
didn't.
David Fincher-esque shit.
It wasn't
Yeah.
the right
It's so you can get it
color.
perfect every time.
Color.
right. Just like the lighting on it just wasn't correct.
Mm.
And my eye immediately picked up on that. And
Yeah.
it was
Then
probably
they need
just
to get
because
Fincher's
like
guys in there.
having the white makeup, having to splatter blood on it, continuity, like it was
Well,
just
I think the
made
main
more sense
the
to
main
CGI
point
it.
to use it was so that the blood would splatter in the exact way they wanted it to
Exactly.
do.
Yeah.
And because
There's a
it's
really interesting. Go ahead. Sorry.
okay, you done? Okay. no.
I have a delay on
Yeah, no,
my
I
end,
was
so
gonna
we
say,
started talking at the same time.
Everyone at
Oh, I
home, there's
see.
a delay. That's why Corey's not an asshole. It's just a delay. But every time the blood splatted, it would be like the first time it was like half of his body.
Right.
And so like I'm assuming they wanted that for specific reasons versus it just being like Christian Bale with Jared Leto's head in American Psycho were just fucking splats. But even
Mm.
then, like he wipes it off in such a way. So, but this, like, I think they wanted to have the shot where it's like half of his body is covered in blood, and what's going to be the other half. So,
Right.
but Corey,
there's
now
a lot
go.
of. Well, I was going to say that Fincher does the same thing. If you ever watch the movie Zodiac, none of the blood in there is practical. It's all CGI. And his point was, to save time on production. They don't have to reset every single time the squibs, all that
Oh,
kind of stuff.
man.
Yeah.
But then
Yeah.
he can get it exactly how he wants it in post
And be done.
every single time.
Mhm.
They could do the
Wow.
take after take after take after take, go home, find the perfect take, and then add the blood after.
Well,
Yeah, and I mean those are comparable films because like
Especially on a low budget like this.
exactly
Yeah.
55 million, baby.
Yeah.
55 million.
Yep.
So low budget.
Yeah, I didn't pick up on the fakeness of it. I guess so. Maybe it worked.
The only time
on
I
me.
did was when he coughed on top of the
Yeah,
cop car.
that's the only time I saw it too. It was like exact perfect cough, and it like had like video game bloody, where it's like,
It like moved
Oh.
moved the perfect the way it floated was like, oh.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh.
any other qualms?
Yeah.
I have one. Unless
ahead.
you want to go first, Corey.
No, I'm gonna vomit. Here,
Um,
like
Well, then we'll cap you off. So go ahead, Corey.
yeah.
The
No, go ahead.
oh, okay. One thing was like I don't know how I felt about like needing to include Bruce Wayne's like origin story or like Batman's origin kind
I
of in
think
there.
they don't.
They don't, and it's something because it's funny. Like going into it, that was the last thing I was expecting. But before I'd seen this, I already didn't like that. We keep getting we keep seeing different perspectives of the exact
Dude.
same origin story in
So wait,
every
it's
The crime
goddamn
alley
Bruce Wayne
scene.
Have you seen the
based
meme
movie.
with that where the Spider-Man's like, "Hey, I think we've killed Uncle Ben multiple times. Let's stop doing that." DC, can we put it into Wonder Woman too? Is there a way for
Yeah.
us
We'll fit that in.
And I was
So-
like,
when they came out of the theater and I saw Zorro, I was like, wow, we don't need this in here,
Yeah,
man.
we don't need
like
this in here.
I
That's-
100%
what-
predicted that though. I was like, I guarantee whatever happens, the implications that Joker did something is going to affect the.
I get
oh,
the
yeah. When the
overall-
riots started, dude, I was like, it's gonna happen.
Yeah.
I didn't need it, but it's gonna happen.
I didn't need it, but it's like I get. Like, are they planning to do more with it? Is it like
Here,
are
I'll
they
go-
trying to tell me? You're trying to give me some profound Batman stuff
I
on
will-
top of?
I will say though,
Yes.
the dope thing if we could compare all of the deaths of them, there was flames in the background. So I was like, hell yeah, fucking metal.
And there were
Super
flames
rats.
and super rats. Yep.
Hell yeah, fucking
Especially
Sorry.
since that night I went
So
and saw.
well, it leads into one of my qualms
Go ahead.
actually, and because Tom, I think you said it really. I really liked your perspective on Thomas Wayne and how he's shown in the movie. But
But
for
it's
me,
garbage.
but it's trash. No, no, I really respect that. But for me, my experience, anytime the Waynes came into it, it took me out of the film. And I think I would have preferred this film without any sort of in your face. Maybe have Wayne Tower, maybe have him on the TV here and there, but like meeting Bruce, meeting Alfred, meeting Thomas Wayne in the bathroom, and then the scene where they're killed in Crime Alley. Every time that happened, I'm just like, is this a Batman origin or is it a Joker?
Right.
Like,
Yeah.
it
Yeah.
reminded me I'm watching a film, where the rest of the
Yeah.
times when it was just Arthur Fleck, I forgot I was watching a film.
There were
Right.
like,
Does that make
there were-
sense?
Yeah,
Yes.
there were like profound Batman revelations in a movie that's like about him and his character. It didn't serve Arthur Fleck's story. It just
It did.
It could have.
well, it didn't though. but
because
like,
he
didn't.
now
It could've-
thinks that he's related to Bruce Wayne.
well, right, but that's
Mhm.
not.
But they never
why
really
does that matter in
do
this
anything
movie?
with that.
Because he grows
Like
up in a
who's
place.
Brace? Who's Brace? You know, saying like it
Well, he-
borrows like in a movie where it's like it's pretty self-contained. All of a sudden, it's not.
Well, again, Thomas Wayne, who is the richest man in Gotham, who's running for mayor, has this son, and now that he can see his brother again, Arthur Fleck is growing up in a place where he doesn't feel like he has anybody,
Mhm.
and so the fact that he
Mhm.
has some family, it's the big plea in the bathroom. It's like, I don't want anything from you. I just want some warmth and some fucking decency.
Yeah, no,
And
I
it's
get
like-
that.
To
It could have
me,
been like any
It would have
character.
been better if it was Murray,
Yeah,
Oh.
Oh, that would have been.
I think that would have been cool.
and she worked on his show
Mm-hmm. It's like I'm not
and
your.
was writing him, and then a roundabout way he doesn't know it, but he invites him to the show, and that's kind of why
Yeah, I mean, and
he.
that
And seeing
Projects
his
him
dad
out.
That
make
would've
fun
been
of him on
cool.
TV,
and that would
yeah.
add
Yeah.
to like a social norm that we have where we want to just connect with celebrities as if we are their family. And so
Right.
that's a cool meta commentary on that too.
Mhm.
Yeah.
I think I would have been happier with that over the Waynes.
I'm fine with both still.
Mhm.
Like I thought it was really cool to be like, oh my god, he's Batman's brother. But
Yeah.
like I can see how like it would be really cool if it was Murray too.
I mean, for me,
Yeah,
like,
and sorry, go ahead.
for me with this, it was kind of like I all love and respect for Burton's Batman, but I fucking hate the fact that Joker kills his parents. Because
Yeah.
spoilers, everyone. But like this was
30-year-old movie.
yeah, for this, I was just, like, I don't like the fact that Joker ever gets connected with it, but for this, I was kind of like, let's just see. And then for me, again, for the prism of the fact of like, they're drawing the picture of like, there is a disparity of, the wealth and the poor or the broke, whatever.
Kill the rich.
And so it's like, oh, okay, cool. And it's like, how do you do that? And you use, again, elements from the world that you have. But yeah, the Murray thing, like, it's a completely fictional character made for this film, which like, it totally would have worked too. So,
Mhm.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Either way.
But one thing that's like, it actually belongs in favorite parts, but like seeing, like, I bought the descent of society, like into the riots and stuff a lot more than I did even in like Dark Knight Rises.
Yeah.
Like it felt more natural, felt more organic.
well, Dark Knight Rises,
I
it
know.
was like, boom, Bane owns
Right.
place, we're fucking going riot. This
yeah,
was
so
kind
that,
of like,
that was a very unique story in Dark Knight Rises. But in this, like, it felt organic. You saw it happen.
I was talking to my roommate about that, and I said, like, there has never been a film, I think, that captured like the effects of one character affecting their city as well as this did.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That permeated through, like, with Dark Knight, it's like you see the copycats, but you don't see it as well done as the Joker film.
Right.
Like you hear about Iron Man and how he keeps affecting the world at large, but you don't
Mhm.
see
You
those
don't see it.
effects.
I
Yeah.
actually felt that the way that he rallied the city into riot was what made me feel it was more comic booky actually.
Interesting.
It just maybe it's a personal
Mhm.
thing, I'm not sure, but yeah, when it was like, kill the rich, immediately I was like, it actually took me out of it a little bit because I
Interesting.
was just like,
yeah,
what? No,
it was really quick.
people die like this all the time,
Mhm.
especially
in
right.
Gotham.
And no, I just mean in our world sense.
Oh yeah, but
Of,
especially
like-
in the world that they're building.
Right.
Mhm.
So
It's supposed to be crime infested
crime infested already, and
Right.
it feels like Joker was the jumping
and
off
super rat
point
infested.
of jumping off point of all this crime,
Green follicle
rather
infested.
than it already being very intrinsically there. Because really, all that we see of crime, quote unquote, wise that he has to deal with is like teenagers being shitheads, and then Wall Street dudes being pricks.
Mhm.
Like
Mhm.
we have there's no like real crime that's going on until Joker kills 3 people, and then all of a sudden everyone's like, burn cars in the streets.
There's not a lot of crime that we
kill
see.
people, kill the cops.
I mean, that's also, I think,
Maybe they should have used their opening scene to talk about that instead of giant fucking rats.
Right.
could have been.
That would have been a great way to make, for me personally, the riots, the movement to riot and kill the rich in the newspapers a little more believable.
Well, to that point, to a discussion,
rather than
to
super
a
rats.
discussion, it's like that's what
Yeah.
I think that's what Arthur's talking about on the show, where he's like, "So I killed 3 guys. Who gives a shit? If I died, you guys walk over me. The news is too busy talking about rats."
Right.
Mhm.
And I think that's more the thing where it's like we're supposed to absorb this media that's not talking about the actual issues,
Right.
talking about
Yeah.
rats that don't fucking exist.
But that was kind of a one line that happened
Mhm.
very quickly rather than making it more of like a stance of his.
And I think that's I would say that's a good point because like it is again for me it's like this giant climactic point. So he's gonna blah, 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 boom. It's like oh okay this is it like this
Yeah.
is his actual
His monologue.
motif or his actual motto in life. Corey, any more qualms?
Yeah. So here's the thing. His appearance on the Murray Show, his entrance is one of the most enchanting pieces of cinematography I've ever seen in my life.
Wow.
Yeah.
The build up to the curtain opening, the way he enters, the way it's shot, where you see just his face between the curtains first with a cigarette.
But also at the
His
beginning,
dance
yeah,
over.
right at the beginning where he's just waiting with the cigarette in his hand.
Oh, and he's dancing, and the two people are like staring at him, like, what the,
And they
what the
slowly
hell is he
back off.
doing?
Mhm.
And I loved that. And I liked the scene up until he admits that he kills the three guys. I like that. But then De Niro's character becomes this talking exposition.
Yeah.
And it was a little, for me, it was a little ham-fisted. And he's like, you're telling me you killed these three guys and you don't feel nothing? I'm like, yeah, dude, that's why he's telling you on national television. I would have loved more. It just felt really staged
Yeah.
to me. And
Oh,
at that point, I was again watching someone, it felt like someone reading a script and being like, hey, in case you missed it throughout the 2 hours you were watching, here's all the morals I was trying to teach you throughout the film.
Interesting.
And
Yeah.
for me, that took me out of it. And like, where's the security? Because there's tons of security at TV stations.
Yeah.
Like, no one reacted at all. And he sat there and decided to ask him these really pinpointed questions that were dealing with the topics they tried to tackle in the film. And it was a little too over the head for me.
For me, for that was like Robert.
I
De Niro-
liked Joaquin in that scene, but
like
his Joaquin, yeah.
for like Murray was like he's still trying to have a show no matter what.
Right.
And like I think
Sure.
that's the like again it's the mores of having like a talk show because like Mark Maron's character is like fucking take him off.
Yeah.
And then you see
Yeah.
De Niro say like no. And like again, I think I talked about this before where it's like that happened with Oprah Winfrey's show where she brought in white nationalists.
Yeah.
And then they
Oh.
took
Lost control
over
of the show.
they took over the show where it's like that's again like it's
was
it's
just-
this social responsibility that like in our like 2019 world that wouldn't happen in a 1980s Gotham. To me, that's kind of like it
And
bought
like
me in for that.
I love the concept of it. And I think it was just the dialogue
Yeah.
like that I have an issue with, the way it was written, the types of questions he was asking.
I agree with that.
Yeah.
a
I
little
like
bit, yeah.
the idea of him going on the talk show and admitting that and having him try to carry on this show and maybe even keep him there long enough for the police to
To
arrive.
show up.
Yeah.
But it was just the way the lines were written, De Niro's lines were written, and to have an actor of that caliber, give him a little more meat would have been nice.
Yeah.
I mean, to me, I likened it
because I like
because
yeah.
it wasn't as like to me like more ham-fisted is Bane's like monologue of like you the people I'm giving the city the power of the city to you versus like
but it's
I'm-
better written.
to me it's like I'm getting a said recorded confession so we can call the police and get them out of here.
Mm.
Like
Yeah.
to me that's kind of like the thing.
I
where-
just keep going back to hearing that line in my head. So you're telling me you killed these three people and you don't feel nothing?
and then he
Like,
gets
it
he gets a confession and then he calls the police. That's where like
was-
for me it's like
he didn't call
I-
the police.
He did. He said like call the police now, and then he says,
Oh, yeah,
and then
yeah.
he says, and then he does the joke and kills him. And like
It was
that's
it was a little too over the head, I guess, for me. For my experience. It took me out of the film.
Yeah, for me, it
The
was
other thing I
fine.
have an issue with is the entirety of the Zazie Beetz
arc
relationship.
ish.
Really?
Yeah, I either
What?
could have done with a little more or not at all. And here's my reasoning. To start it off, Zazie Beetz is a phenomenal actress. If you haven't watched Atlanta, after this episode, go run to your TV, get FX, watch Atlanta. Like
It's probably the only
she's
place
an
you can watch her.
amazing actress. That and Deadpool too.
I wasn't going to.
Unfortunately, but
Yeah.
more and more hopefully because she's a phenomenal actress and she steals every scene she's in Atlanta. For me, it was just a storyline that I've seen played out in a lot of other movies better, including Taxi Driver, Machinist, stuff like that. And what I think would have changed it for me is that scene where she comes in and she's like, "Your name's Arthur, right?" First of all, I already know what's going on at this point. I already get that he's imagined the whole thing. The minute she says, "Your name's Arthur," you're in the wrong apartment. I didn't need the flashbacks, and I think I either would have loved to see the scene play out a little longer rather than have flashbacks. Didn't have to be much, but
I would
giving
have
her
loved him
something
to
to do.
say. I would love him to have dialogue at that point.
Right. Yeah, and her. I mean, I think she's just criminally underutilized in this film as for her caliber of acting.
Oh, sorry.
No, that was kind of it. I was just gonna go back to it's one of those moments that the
It didn't seem
flashbacks
to-
took me out.
She didn't seem to like impact his life too much. Like they
Te-
gave him
Right,
those
because
like
she's not
night-
there.
They gave him like the great date night or whatever
Yeah,
that was.
for
but-
me
Yeah.
with that was like so far like the crazy thing is that after he kills the 3 guys, he goes into her apartment and kisses her, and then allegedly probably sleeps there, right?
Yeah.
And after
Yeah.
that, when he starts bombing at the comedy show, like she's his saving
She's
grace.
laughing.
Mhm.
And they go on a date and whatever the hell they do. And I will say to the point, like, yeah, you do see it, and I think the machinist does it because Taxi Driver doesn't do that really.
No.
Taxi
But
Driver-
the same kind of
the taxi driver
ideal.
in the same line is more like the woman is kind of like the spawn or the spur of like the madness happening, and it's like
Exactly.
kind of the through line of like why he does anything, as well as like his saving grace. But with this, I would say an interesting thing that I felt like was poignant was the fact that like I think we kind of have us or like around the table as well as over the interwebs, Corey. We're a little film literate. I think it is like too easy for us to pick that up. But I will say, like, from my experiences, sometimes I've seen people who are like, I didn't get it until I got a flashback.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And
So,
like
Yeah.
for me personally, I love that. That was actually one of my
Sure.
like, that would be I would say in one of
Again,
my
these
favorite
are-
parts.
My issues with it.
Yeah.
yeah, just talking.
So for me,
of
I
the full
either
gamut.
would have liked more of it, more of the relationship, rather than the few scenes we got. Because if it really is in his head, you can do kind of whatever you want with it, and,
Well,
and add a
yeah.
little more.
you
here
could
and
do
there.
is take away from the mom and do more of her.
Right.
Mhm.
And then let that scene play out instead of the flashbacks.
Yeah.
Because I think you have 2 high caliber actors. I think you could do a really interesting scene within that apartment.
Mm.
And I think that was a missed opportunity.
I think there would have been better at the diner when they're at the end of the date and just
Yeah.
do a
Mhm.
little bit more back and forth of like him talking about what he actually goes through and feels like.
Yeah.
Like I
That
mean,
would've been great.
But the thing is, like, it gets like Taxi Driver territory where he's like, I hate people. It's like, all right, we get it.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
I think I just needed either more time with her, or I could have done without it.
Sure,
I think
I get you.
is where I'm feeling on that line.
Mhm.
The last thing I'll say, and it sounds like I hated this movie, which I didn't. I really liked this movie. I just wasn't in love with it. That's all.
It's okay. You
the
can shit
last
on
thing I'll
things I
say-
like. It's fine.
It's okay. You shit on the things I like.
Yeah.
Italian shit.
Fellowship of the Ring is
so-
still 4.8.
Guardians of the Galaxy. So the last thing I'll say about this, and again, this is like Joker said, it's all subjective. For me, like Caitlin, like we all have at this table, we've all dealt with our own throes of people we know with mental illness and stuff like that. And for me, I don't think this movie said anything as profound as it was trying to. And I left the movie really trying to figure out if there was anything beyond the surface level stuff we got about it.
Mhm.
And I would have liked them to either focus more on it and even step away from the classism a little bit, or focus more on the classism. It just felt like it was, for me, my personal experience felt like it was trying to tackle
too much?
too many issues. Yeah,
Yeah.
like too many things
For
and
sure.
say too much. And in doing so, it didn't say enough of either.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And that's kind
Because
of
I one line I loved too, and like I don't want to take away from that because I think starting dialogue around mental health is brilliant. And I think with the one line he wrote in his journal where the thing about mental health is people want you to act like you don't have it
Mhm.
was very poignant,
Mhm.
and I would have liked to see more of that. We get it. We get the one scene in the bus, and then the one scene
With his manager.
with not even his manager, because his manager is kind of just talking about how people
Don't like him.
I like you, but I don't like you kind of thing. The other one was the guys on the subway.
Right.
Because they don't understand his condition, and I think I would have liked them to dive into that a little deeper. I guess where even even his mom could have even. She
More
says
could
she
have
starts to
happened with
dive
her.
into it where how can you do it if you're not funny?
Oh,
kind of
would
thing. I don't
fucking
know.
kill me.
I know.
Fucking
I
hurt the fuck out of me.
and I loved that. So for me, I think I just would have liked it to take a deeper dive, if that makes sense, into those issues.
makes sense.
Because, and I'm going to bring it up again. Or focus on one. So I've just seen other movies, and this is my own baggage too. I've seen other movies handle those topics in a way that I thought was taking a bigger stance on it and saying a little something, kind of taking me by the shoulders a little more and shaking me and be like, you need to pay
Yeah.
attention to this.
So you do
Whereas
want
this-
the over the head, hit you over the head thing.
No, I don't want over the head.
And that's
You know,
kind of
there's a difference
get
between
you.
hitting you over the head and talking
Diving
about it in
into
a
it.
more serious manner. Yeah. What were you
yeah.
gonna say, Ali?
I think that's one of the reasons why, like I felt at multiple points that it was like limited by what it like its source material basically, like because it had to finish the narrative of the Joker.
Mhm.
It was about the
While-
descent into madness, not about the causes and reasons behind.
Well,
Yeah. And I think
I
Go
wanted
ahead.
to be more about the descent into madness and less about having to hit the check marks of the Joker story. And
Ali,
like,
you just hit it on the head. Like,
and that's where, like, instead of spending time with showing us how like Bruce Wayne is born or whatever, him even interacting with Bruce Wayne, like give us more, like you said, like maybe he gets transferred to a different social worker that's like not as good, but maybe they're a better person. Maybe that's Zazie Beetz.
because
think-
it's related to the because I haven't said
Yeah,
anything
please.
with qualms.
Mhm.
It's more so like one could argue that that's kind of the point, but there's a part of me that you could have removed anything that had to do with the Batman or
Mhm.
this is
Mhm.
based on comic books or anything like that, and it still would have been a solid
Well, 'cause I
movie.
think-
It just felt like some of the stuff was like almost fan service.
I said
in
a
that
sense.
I would
Exactly.
have liked this movie more if it maybe wasn't a Joker movie to
Yeah.
the core.
Right, exactly.
and so
like,
what you're saying, it's kind of limited by
well, it's limiting itself because like the whole point of this, I think that the broader statement this is making is that hey, look, these comic books are not just filled with like silly stuff and you know
These characters are
These
terrifying
characters
for a reason.
just any character, not necessarily villains. It could be heroes.
Right.
Like they're all interesting. They all have interesting stories, and we get to see the best of that now in this age. That's kind of like I mean, generally speaking, I'm on the pro comic book movie side. Like I
Me too.
don't
Yeah.
dislike them as a general overarching thing, and I know a lot of people do, and that's fine. But this was their opportunity to be like, hey, this is us showing you how interesting these characters can be in a Scorsese-esque kind of movie.
Mhm.
And
And
kind of like
I'm
sticking
so
it
on
to
board.
Scorsese in a weird way. And like,
Yeah, the timing's strange, huh?
yeah,
Right.
it's like, look,
Very
like this can
strange.
this can win Best
So,
Picture
I-
and be a
I'm-
legitimate
I want to
film.
also make sure to draw a clear line. Todd
Yeah.
Phillips reached out to Martin Scorsese to produce, and he was going to
Oh, I
produce.
see.
Yeah.
And then Scorsese was like, "I'm doing Irishman, but you can take who's the second producer?
Emma Tillinger-Kosko.
She produces all of Scorsese's films,
I
Yeah.
see.
Cool.
and so
So that's awesome.
So yeah, so again, like, and Todd Phillips sent Scorsese the script,
Mhm.
and Scorsese then called him right after he got it and read it, and they just talked
So
about
then-
like why this is an important film.
Right.
And I will
Mhm.
say this in kind of in that sense, like we're all kind of critically analyzing it from like a really high in-depth like level, but this is the first kind of film to actually try to talk about
Right.
these things.
Yeah,
But
but
so
it's,
like I
it's-
would say like the opportunity that it's have, it's like now let other films do this
right.
and
Yes.
do it better.
Well, that's what
Well-
I had an end cap to my qualms when we're done with this.
Well, my just to wrap up my whole spiel is like it set itself up to be like to knock it out of the park and be like, hey, here's an Oscar, and it still might. You know, I think there's still
I think it
definitely some
has.
Oscar stuff going on in here, but it's still like every now it just stops it from achieving like that true greatness that it can by having to
Mhm.
hit those check marks. I feel like sometime like throughout the film,
I
there's a
dig
couple
that.
moments where I kind of like
I
okay,
would say like I
okay.
think there's definitely some issues here and there. Like for me, my one qualm I was gonna say was like I don't know what the character wants at the beginning of the film. Like
Yeah.
there's no status of what he wants. He's just like you're just
he's
with
just
him.
living.
And like then that's to me like that's the strength of character study versus that's like the weakness of like other films where it's like, oh, this character needs to get money, so he's going to do this job, and then at the end of it he realizes he doesn't need money, and then he can do the thing that he wants to do without the money,
Mhm.
right?
Mhm.
And like you don't know anything about that character at that point. Like that's just a narrative. This one you're just going to figure out what this character goes through and lives with, and
I would love the stand-up idea to come in earlier. I think it took like 15 minutes for him to mention it or something like that.
Yeah.
Mhm.
yeah, I could have here and there, but like the fact that they had that in was
Sure,
kinda
that
like
was just my
the
idea.
seed of like from Killing Joke. So I was like,
Mhm.
yeah, cool. But like I don't know. For me, it's like there's a lot of things that this film could have done and has done in X, Y, and Z. But it's kind of like there's not a lot of other comic films that
To
do
your
that
point,
at all.
it's great that we have this now because now give us. I hope it does make because filmmakers are fine. They'll make what they want to make, but what we have to impress are the studio execs. So hopefully the studio execs will see the numbers on this.
Yeah, and I
feel
mean, like,
better
the thing
about
is, like,
investing.
I wish, I also hope that everyone at home listens and also takes this same kind of like macroscopic and microscopic lenses that we're looking at this through with everything they watch. Because if also it
Mhm.
doesn't check those marks, then those deserve the exact same.
I hope it's not a one-off for DC. That's my true
No, so
hope.
here's my hope
No.
is I, as a comic book movie, I hope this inspires more.
Mhm.
Corey is an origin film.
Because this is what they can
I-
do.
I
This is the freedom.
I'm hoping that we get more Joker movies, like not Joker movies, but Joker-esque type
Mhm.
movies where directors are allowed to take risks. I hope we get more Logans. I hope we get stuff like that where we're telling stories that aren't necessarily about a hero or villain, but have them in. It's a story that
Mhm.
happens to have a hero
Yeah,
or villain
yeah.
in it.
It's a perfect
Mhm.
setup.
Because I think, like Tom said, I really do think this is one of the most important comic book movies that's been made to date.
Mhm.
I would put this as important as Logan is to me. Like,
Yeah, agreed.
I think both those movies challenge a genre in a way that we really need right now, and I really hope the studios take notice, like you said, Ali. And
Mhm.
I'm this is putting this out to all the directors and filmmakers out there. Please make more of these
Like
because we need them.
the tough thing is always like this is a dissection of the character, and the thing is
Sure.
like what Man of Steel showed us that no one likes seeing that, and that's the shitty thing about it. And it's
Yeah.
like
Yeah, but we also have something like Logan, which is still a dissection of a character, and it did great. And it's honestly it's my second favorite superhero film of all time.
And I would say like you can do characters that are further on than just like Joker and like Batman and all the titular characters like Clayface and how he has no real form, and you could talk about body dysmorphia and stuff like
I'm
that.
dying to see a Mr. Freeze movie.
And so like there's things like that where like you can start talking about these things at large, but like they have to be the smaller scope films. There can't be
They
the
have,
blockbuster.
yeah. I mean, you got to keep it simple
Not
because
every
that's
single thing needs to be a blockbuster.
you need
Tell
an
execs that.
entry point, right? Like
I'm hoping this will.
I'm willing a lot more people saw this movie than have seen, like, I mean, obviously that's not true, but like that people who haven't seen like MC movies are probably a lot more open to seeing this movie.
I
would
think that's
venture.
100% untrue.
You think
The
so?
thing is about like, and I hate to say this, is like water in every country tastes good. All right. Like if you send one bottle of water and send to every country, it tastes good. Right. Because
Okay.
it's the most massive appeal versus like this is a film that's kind of highly based in New York and America's today.
Mhm.
And it's only going to, might taste good to Americans.
Oh, I see what you're saying.
Do you know what I mean? Like this is such a specific story and trying to be.
No, it's meant,
this
it's
kind
meant
of
for people who are like turned off by comic book movies specifically, like
Yeah.
that wouldn't want to watch like superheroes, capes and cowls and stuff.
Oh yeah, no, I got
Like-
my mom, my aunt, and my
There you
uncle
go.
all go.
That's
with
all I
me.
mean.
Oh,
Like
wow.
they never see.
Yeah, it just
superhero
and
films.
that's kind of I think that's the end goal, right? Is that we want to make like these stories should reach a place where they're good for any audience that you would want to make it for.
The tough thing is like you have to kind of, I think you have to have a basket, and there's gonna
Oh,
be
yeah.
some fruits that some people don't like.
There's not I mean but that's the beauty
Fruits
of DC's like
I
DC
don't know
right
how that
now.
fucking happened, but
You set
DC
it up.
I know.
You said basket and then fruits.
Yeah, fruits.
So
this is their advantage over Marvel, I feel like, and they need to really own it. Is like
Mm.
they can afford to be different, like have an auteur
And
do
not
like
let the villain
their
die.
own thing. Well, and like
And make
like
the villains compelling.
right, like anybody can go make their own version, you know, their own story with whatever character they like. You know, if David Fincher is
Apparently
drawn
not.
to a
Have you
villain.
seen Fantastic Four?
Well, I
I'm
mean,
kidding.
but you know, we all know the story with that.
Yeah. But I mean, yeah, that's the thing where it's like, yeah, if DC kind of like just really like holds their ground of like, I think to me their cap would be dissection of villains. Like
Yeah.
doing a Catwoman alone film, like talk about how you get into the streets of Gotham, like, and she hangs around like a lot of the red light district and then becoming a thief. And then her father's like this master thief as well. But talking about like, how does one get into the life of crime?
Right.
how
like
cool would a Rogues Gallery series be?
Yeah, it'd be cool, but like, and that's the thing where it's like these are not ever going to be called like they're going to be called comic book films, but they're not going to be called superhero films. So people are going to be in for a rude awakening when they want a happy ending at the very end instead
Right.
instead of something that might be
Mhm.
unsettling. Because at the end, I would love it where almost every villain has a tragic ending because you know what? That's real. Like
Yeah.
it's the
And the
prism
thing-
of
I
which
mean-
the artist is looking through.
Mhm.
I'm all for it. My favorite, I've said it here a million times, my favorite comics are X-Men, and they challenge ideals. And that's what I like about this movie, is that it challenges you in a different way that you know,
In a very different
Avengers is
way.
never going to challenge you.
In a
Right.
in a fun parallel, when you were saying like, is this a Batman origin or is this a Joker origin? It's like that's exactly what X-Men went through when they did First Class. Like, is
Yeah.
this a Magneto origin or is
Oh,
it?
I'm not comparing them to the films at
No,
all.
no,
But like, no, that was a
No,
kind of
no.
a funny thing where
Except
it's
for
like
Logan.
the first slot was like Wolverine origins, and they were going to do Magneto origins, and then that became
Yeah.
First Class.
Mhm.
So then
that's
they
kinda
did
funny.
Wolverine.
Oops.
And,
Yeah, so.
Anywho.
Anyway.
So now time
That's
for
it.
rating.
Yes.
Yeah.
Let's
Time
rate.
for rating.
So
who's
first is Josh.
I feel like there's a
Well,
slight
this
smile.
conversation. No, this conversation has been incredibly enlightening because there are some qualms that I'm like, oh, I didn't think about it. Yeah, interesting. I'm
That's
gonna
why
give
I
it a
like
4.
this show.
4.
Yeah, I'm gonna give it a 4. Good solid 4.
Sure.
Who's next?
Tom.
5.
Mm.
Immediate 5.
Yeah, I know.
Immediate 5.
Kaylin's next.
I'm gonna do a 4.9.
Wow.
Wow.
Mainly because we were saying
Subject
that like subject matter, while they don't flesh everything out all the way, it was important for this to be a Joker movie. It was important for them to have Bruce Wayne in it, even though we thought it was super like silly for it to be there.
I thought it was
Because it got butts and seats to watch this movie and to care about what's happening in it. And even if it doesn't flesh out all of the topics all the way, it at least addressed them.
Yeah.
And not many movies are going to do that. And not many people, if you took out Joker, Batman, everything else, would go see this movie.
Mhm.
So
Yeah.
it gave,
I-
it blasted these topics
I
to
will
a
say I have
massive
a list
audience.
of movies I can send you that do deal with these topics.
Right, but how
none
many
of them
people are going to go
com-
see them?
And none of them are going to
A
be
lot of
comic.
them.
None of them are going to
Like,
be comic
Usually
films.
Beautiful Mind, Machinist.
Right,
Anyway,
right. But I'm saying like a mass audience appeal, like general
Sure.
mass audience appeal. Not many people are like, I love Beautiful Mind. I love several of the movies that you just listed. But a lot of people are like, oh, that's like a weird heady movie. Like, I'm not gonna go see
Well,
that.
I mean,
Like-
also then there's a difference between, again, it's blockbuster versus like industry film, and I think this falls in line with those industry films versus like as a blockbuster. But this has some sense of mainstream appeal,
Right.
which other comic book mainstream appeal films don't do.
Right.
Yeah.
so-
I mean, I don't know if we would have covered it on the show, maybe, but
This kind of film,
if it wasn't
like if it wasn't Joker, yeah,
Yeah.
we probably have not.
Exactly. Like that is what makes me like this film more. Even if I find
Josh goes back, it's 2.
No. I'm just like I'm really
Sorry,
having a
Corey,
hard time because
Josh
I'm like,
has
I
like
said 4 and I was
scrunching
like,
face now.
no, I really
Well,
liked it a lot.
but points, as we've said multiple times, it's just like whose line is it? The points don't really matter. It's just whatever
Except
you
mine and
feel.
Ollie's.
Okay.
4.9.
So whatever
That's
you
good.
feel is right for you to say for the points. But
No.
yeah, I just think the way that this has all been concocted and like the way that they did it, the topics that it brings up, I give it a 4.9 just because I was
Sure.
engaged the whole time and I feel like it addressed a lot of important
Josh goes
things.
back.
Ollie.
No, I need to say something because I'm like,
Go ahead.
because I've put this kind of
Oh,
on
he's gonna
myself and the way that I
change it.
think about
He's
my
gonna
rating
change
is
it
like,
right now.
I think it needs to be higher for me. Like I think it because
Okay.
I'm realizing I wouldn't change much. Like when you guys were talking about qualms, I was
Yeah.
like, oh wow, I
To
see
keep
the qualm.
Superettes.
That's like
the
one
Superettes.
I didn't notice. To be
That was the
perfectly
point
honest,
one.
I was like I didn't notice.
So what's your score?
I think it. Fuck.
That's
I
not
think
a
it
number.
would be a
That's not a
4.9.
number.
4.9. It's okay. 2 4.9.
From a 4 to a 4.9?
Wow.
Yeah,
Holy shit.
Big
because I
jump.
realized that I wouldn't change. I'd change a couple of things.
Yeah.
Ollie?
Mine is a 4.4.
Mm,
Corey's still the grump.
Maybe lower.
yep.
But
100%.
between two, it was between 4.2 and 4.4, and I
I
couldn't.
thought you were
really-
gonna say fucking 2.4. Like what?
It was between 2.4 and 5.
Zero, 'cause
I've
it's
seen
not
movies that
Dark
you've
Knight.
liked with higher numbers that shot like an asshole compared to this.
Corey?
3.4.
Ooh.
I knew. I fucking told. Didn't I? Okay, so
should've known.
Caitlin and I watched this yesterday when we're recording, the day of recording,
Oh, Dana told me.
and I was like, Corey's gonna be the grump. I guarantee it. I guarantee it.
What gave it away?
I just kind of felt like, again, this isn't like for a film that you haven't watched, Whiplash. This isn't your tempo. This is my
No, I get
this
it.
is my tempo for sure.
That's
Yeah.
fair.
But that you just knew it wasn't going to be my cup of tea.
Oh, I knew for sure none of the people who are going to be in studio are going to be the grump. It's going to be Corey for sure.
Wow.
Wow.
Even though I love movies like King of Comedy and Taxi Driver.
No, I just knew.
Wow.
Wow.
It's not
I
that
also,
bad.
I think like we have a little bit of hindsight. I'm not saying I'm trying to disparage any numbers and all that stuff. We have such a high taste for films. Remember when Daredevil was the best comic book movie of all time?
What?
No,
No.
Jesus,
When
you're right.
Daredevil like
That
when
was
that
a
came out, they were
thing.
like, "Oh shit, this is new and it's cool." And they
I
have
hated that movie.
they have Papa Roach in there. Like that was like
Papa
that.
Roach!
But now we get like, I mean, and that's kind of again, it's a high rent problem where it's like now we get Academy noms for things. We have the Ledgers, we have we have Endgame, we have things like that. We have Black Panther, and we have Captain Marvel. But like now it's like we're at
You
the
gotta
point
go
where
above and beyond.
Yeah, we're
and
chomping
be
at the bit of it.
Perfect. Yeah.
Yeah.
And so like so I mean
well, not necessarily. I don't think you have to be perfect. I just didn't agree with the way the topics were addressed in this film.
That's right.
I've liked how they were addressed in other films that are very much in line with this style and tempo. It just
Yeah.
didn't sell it for me on this one.
That's
Nice.
fair.
All
so
right, then.
that wraps it up.
I'm complete.
Yeah.
I feel complete.
Feel complete?
I
Yeah.
can talk for days for this. but-
I,
course.
same. Yeah. Which if you
Joaquin
guys
Phoenix enough.
feel that you need to talk
Alone.
about this way more,
I'm probably
Hit us
gonna
up.
I'm probably gonna
Hit
go
us
watch
up.
it like a
Co-
couple
come
more
on our-
times.
come over to our email accounts and DMs. And
You were trying
Yeah,
so
I
hard not to say
s-
slide into our DMs.
I really wanted to not say it.
Hey, why don't you slop into our emails?
I regret my choice of words. But yeah, if you want to continue this discussion, hit us up online. Send us emails, comments. Let us know your thoughts. And if you have things that you want to talk about with this movie, talk to us. We're
Yeah.
all about it.
And please share the show with your friends, your family. We do a lot. We do a lot of other podcasts, a lot going on in the Nerd On world. So check it out. Nerdon.tv is our website and it has all the information of all the things that we do. YouTube, Twitch, articles, whole lot. Stop by, rate, and review us anywhere you listen to us. It really, that kind of stuff actually does help.
A lot.
But yeah, that is it. You know the drill. As always,
Nerd on.
Ending broadcast.